Greetings, RC Model Geeks, and here we are in the shed yet again for part 5 of the DB Models Barnstormer 72 build. Right, so hopefully today we will put together the fuselage, or try to anyway. There's a few little things we've got to do first of all. Things like there's some hardwood blocks here and here that are for the struts that hold the wing on. Yeah, the cabanes there, yeah. Now they need to be screwed into their formers that are here. This one here and this former behind this bit here. So I've got one of them sort of laid out, and I've marked up the second one there, and there's its bit of wood that's going to sit on there. Now getting these right is quite critical because this sets up the alignment for the wing. So this bit's got to be right, it's got to be level, and it's got to be strong. So I've got to drill some holes in it so we can tap some screws. If you look in there, you can just see they show a couple of screws. Doesn't say how many there, probably in the instructions somewhere. It's either going to be 2 or 3 screws there and 2 or 3 screws there. You can just see them in that drawing. So yeah, I've got to get that done first before we can start putting the sides together. Now I've also been looking at how we're going to mount the motor and the battery and the ESC. Now there's already a hatch or a bay in here. You can see here it says fuel tank platform there. So that battery sits nicely in there. That's a 3004S, and I think that's probably what we're going to go with. And that fits in that area quite nice. And what we'll be doing is we'll make this part here a removable hatch, so we can basically get into that whole area. The motor is going to be mounted somewhere like that, and what I'll do is I'll create an extra firewall here that's going to slot in. I'm going to leave these hardwood rails that were the original engine bearer rails. I'm going to leave them in just because it adds a bit of extra strength up front and a bit of weight, and it's always good to have a bit of weight up front. So they will be left in, and so will that original firewall, but we won't be using that as the engine mount. We'll be putting in a secondary one in here somewhere. And then the ESC will sit in between the gap between the new firewall and the existing one. It will sit somewhere down here. It probably won't really need any cooling because it's an 80 amp ESC and we're not pulling anywhere near that. We'll probably be lucky if we pull 60. But if we do need a bit of cooling, we can always put a hole through this front here just to get a bit of airflow into this area. But I don't see it as a problem at all. So that's where we are. So I'm going to get on with making those two things, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so started mocking up the sides. Formers are just slotted in there at the moment. The mountings for the cabanes are screwed in. You can see there's the screws there and screws there. It's not glued yet because I'm still mocking everything up. I've drilled the original firewall for mounting the ESC, so there's 4 holes there, and also a hole there for the wires to go to the battery from the ESC. The battery is going to sit in here. As you can see, there's quite a lot of down thrust on this motor. So yeah, the next thing we've got to do, I've got to make up a new firewall that I'm going to put in here. So I've got to make that out of ply, and I think I'll probably do that now because it's a constant width along this front, so I can use this as a bit of a template for cutting out the firewall, the new firewall. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to cut some ply, make that new firewall. Back soon. Okay, so we're slowly figuring it all out. There is our new firewall that the motor is going to mount on. There's the old one, and it says, as you can see there, I'm still using the original engine bearers to keep the strength up in the front there. So yeah, that's coming together. I think probably the final thing I'm going to do today, I haven't got the sides together yet, but I'm just sort of doing a lot of pre-planning, which will save grief and speed things up later on. You know, it's going to be once the fuselage is together, we can just screw everything on and it's sort of finished, you know. There's no thought needed later on, which is good. So yeah, I think the last thing to do today, I'm probably going to glue this firewall in, this former, and this former, this doubler, and probably that engine bearer. I think those are the things that are going to go in today, and then that will be it. So I'll come back to you once I've got those glued in. Okay, so I'm pretty much done for the day. That engine bearer is glued in. The mountings for the cabanes are now glued in, glued and screwed permanently, and on that one as well. And also this spruce doubler here is glued in. So we're getting there. That's pretty much all the work that needs to be done on this side, I think. The only other thing I might look at tomorrow is making up the mountings for the servos or something. I might do that before I actually put the sides together as well, but we will see. One thing of note on this motor mount here, if I didn't mention it before, is that you'll notice that the mountings are actually off centre, and of course that is to allow for the right thrust that will be on the motor, and so to get the motor shaft in the centre where it comes out the nose, you need to offset your mounting points. So that's it. There is no more today. I will see you all again probably tomorrow for another part of the DB Models Barnstormer 72-inch. See you all then. Bye.
Thank you for watching Captain Rob's RC Model Geeks. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to click that like button. If you want to see more of the same type of videos, don't forget you can subscribe. If you want to support us, you can use PayPal, paypal.me/RC Model Geeks. If you want to contact us, you can email us rcmodelgeeks@gmail.com. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.